And we're going to begin on our back. You'll bring your bolster or your pillow just behind your shoulder blades, so kind of in the mid-back area. And then you'll lay down, and ideally your head is falling to the ground. So you can kind of decide where that pillow placement feels the best for you, but you want to feel a little bit of opening through the chest area. And then once you're settled there with the pillow in a placement that feels supportive and feels good for you, then you'll open up your arms to a T. You can keep your knees bent. In fact, bringing your feet out wide and then letting your knees fall to the center will help the low back kind of fall into place a little bit, because otherwise that low back kind of wants to arch a little bit too much in this position. So keep that in check. And then you're just opening up those arms, shutting down your eyes. And just become more aware of your breath. In and out. Starting to build a nice full, even inhale and exhale. And as we do each class, just begin to create the space for your practice today. Not just the physical space, but the mental space as well. So connecting the mind and body through the breath. And beginning to sort of notice that thinking brain when it comes into play. You start thinking about your morning so far, or your afternoon yet to come, or your to-do list or your shopping list. So just noticing when that happens so that you can pull that mind back into your body with your breath. And that is the meditative process. Liberate yourself from that thinking mind for the rest of class, knowing that it'll always creep back in. And your job is just to notice. Notice when it comes back into play. And then pull that mind back into the body with the breath, creating that freedom from the thinking brain. When we do that, it can help alleviate any anxiety, worry, even depression. It can help alleviate some of those things just by being in this moment. You don't have to worry about the next moment. We're in this moment right here. Come into your body. Feel the opening of your chest, expansion of the rib cage when you breathe. Letting your arms be heavy as they fall into the earth on either side of you. And then take a full body scan, starting with the crown of the head and the eyebrows, the forehead. Just letting go of tension there. Moving to the jaw, the back of the head. Letting go. Moving down into the neck and the shoulders. Let those shoulders become heavy. Moving out into the arms and hands. Maybe wiggling the fingers and then releasing them down and letting go. Down into the shoulder blades and that upper back area. Between the shoulder blades even. Moving into the belly, letting that belly kind of stretch out a little bit in this back bend. Down into the hips. Feeling those hips fall heavily into the mat underneath you. And then moving down into your thighs. Letting those thighs and upper leg let go of tension. Down into the calves. And then eventually down into your feet. If your feet are flat on the ground, just letting them rest. Finding that sort of floor or mat underneath you, letting them be heavy down into the ground. All right, if you've got a pillow underneath you, roll to one side very gently to remove it off to the side, and then lay back down. And keep the same formation of the legs, so feet out wide, knees together. Let the hands stretch down by the side, just resting gently by your sides on the mat. And then just feeling the change. So we were just sort of more in a back bend. So now we have sort of more of a flat, neutral spine. It can feel kind of nice to come out of that back bend and just feel the natural curves in our spine once again. All right, bring your feet to about hip width. And right knee, pull it into the chest. Take that right foot and just make some circles in one direction. And then change directions, getting that full circle. And then let that knee up a little bit, pull it off to the right so that it pulls to the outside of the rib cage. And here, you're welcome to stay with a bent knee. This can feel really supportive and grounding. If you'd like to try extending that left leg, it does sort of intensify the stretch here through the groin. You can try that out. If you've got your leg straight, have a little bit of engagement through that left leg and glute, just a little bit. That's going to help keep that left side anchored. All right, let go of that knee. Either grab the outside of the foot with the right hand. Maybe you rather grab the ankle. Maybe you come behind the knee. You can also use a strap here. If you'd like, you can put it around the ball of your foot and then just use that strap. Coming into a half happy baby position. So keep that structure through the left leg. Pull that belly in just a little bit and then pulling down so that that knee continues to come to the outer rib cage. Turn the head right and left a couple times. And then pausing in the middle and then wiggle out the lower jaw. A lot of tension likes to stick in there and you want to let go of that tension in the jaw. All right, release that foot, bring it to the inner thigh of the left leg. If you had the leg bent, you might try here, extending that leg out. It might feel a little bit better now that we don't have our knee pulled in. Again, some structure through that left side so that you don't fall into the right, so that you don't come light into your left side. And then just a little bit of action of that right knee being pulled down to the ground. Pull the belly in just a little bit. Stay here or join me and raise your arms all the way overhead. As you come overhead, oftentimes if we're tight in the shoulder, our low back really peels up and overarches. So if that's the case for you, pull the belly in. You'll feel your armpit through the armpit stretch. If you need to widen your arm because you're pretty tight, go for it. Pausing here in the supine tree position. Keeping that belly pulled in. Arms are resting overhead on the ground above you. Sweep your arms back down towards your hips. Bring that right hand to the outer right knee and help it come to center. And then switch sides. So keep your right leg bent for now. Bring your left knee in and circle out your ankle in one direction. And then the other direction. And then let that knee come out a little bit and pull it to the left side so it's pulling down towards the outer rib cage on the left side. And then decide whether you're going to extend that right leg. If so, you're creating a little bit of structure there as you pull that left knee in and to the side. Turn the head right and left to kind of check in with the shoulders and the neck. Pausing in the middle, shaking out that low jaw once again. Releasing that knee, bringing that sole of the foot up to the ceiling, and then grabbing the outer edge of that foot if you can, using a strap if you have one and it's handy, or maybe the ankle, or just bringing that arm down behind the knee. So find that version of half happy baby, keeping that structure through the right side. Belly is pulled in just a little bit. Continue to work on your presence. And just noticing where the mind is. Release that foot gently, guiding it down to the inner thigh of the right side. And again, if you had that right leg bent, you might try to straighten it. And if your knee is way up here because you're pretty tight in the hips, you might have that pillow that we had under our back or maybe a block and put it under that left knee just to help ground you, so then you can get that opening for your range of motion of your hips. Right side is firm, a little bit of engagement. And then actively, just very lightly pulling that left knee down towards the ground, or just letting it rest on the block or the bolster. And then if you'd like, inhale your arms up and over, toning the low belly as you get overhead so that we don't compensate through the low back. And then finding whatever angle is best for your shoulders. It can be straight up. It can be slightly out. You can even cactus your arms if that feels more supportive here and you want to kind of work on that range of motion. Letting those arms rest on the ground, keeping that low belly toned. Bring the hands back down. Bring the hand to the outside of that left knee. Stay on the ground. Just gotta get my cheat sheet. Okay. Both knees bend. Bring the feet out wide and let them windshield wiper. And go from one side to the other. And then go back to the original side and pause. This is kind of like a twist. Your left hip will kind of, if your knees are to the right, your left hip will kind of come off the ground. Keep your back of your shoulders on the ground. And then pull them through center. And then let them fall to the other side. So again, that opposite side hip will kind of come up, but keep your shoulders on the ground. And then bring them back through center. All right, you might want to have your strap handy. We're going to do lymphedema exercises for the lower half. Left leg stays bent, flat foot on the ground. Lift that right leg, set your strap up just over the ball of the foot if you feel like you need it. Exhale, point, finding that stretch along the front of the leg. And then inhale, flex, pulling the toes towards the shins. So point on your exhale, feel the calf engage. Inhale, pull the toes to the shin, feel the shin engage. So you're feeling a stretch on one side and engagement of the muscle on the other. You are kind of looking for end range of motion. So don't let your calf, cramp up on you, but definitely feel that calf stretch and then engage. Couple more. Next exhale, bend the knee, pull the heel in towards the glute, find that hamstring. Inhale, straighten, pull the kneecap up the leg, find the quad. Exhale, pull the heel in, find the hamstring. Inhale up, find the quad. Keep going. So you're finding again that end range of motion, but again, your hamstrings, just like your calves, sometimes have that tendency to want to cramp up. So just enough to feel it, not so much that they're gonna revolt on you and cramp up. Keep going. Let's do one more. Pausing with your leg straight up over the hip, little circles. Nice and slow, keep them small. Change directions. And then pause with your leg right up over the hip, just letting gravity kind of help that fluid. Whether you had lymph nodes taken out on the lower half or not, this is really such a good thing to do. Get your feet above your heart. It generally can feel pretty good. Okay, lower down and widen out your feet again. I want you to let your knees fall to the right, pausing there. So finding that kind of twist just a little bit, that left hip will come up, keeping your shoulders on the ground. And then come through center and switch sides. Letting your knees fall to the left, right hip will kind of come up. Doesn't matter whether your knees fall to the ground or not, just let them fall. Keep the shoulders grounded. Up through center. All right, left side, left leg extends up long. Exhale, point, find that calf engagement. Inhale, flex, find the shin engagement. Exhale, inhale. Exhale, you're gonna feel the stretch on the shin. Inhale, you're gonna find the stretch on the calf. So just feel how the back of your leg stretches and then engages. And then same with the front of your leg. It stretches and engages depending on what you're doing with your toe. Use your breath, kind of working that end range, but not so much so that your calf wants to cramp up on you. Next exhale, pull the heel into the glute, bend the knee. Finding the hamstring as you curl in. Inhale up, find the quad, pull the kneecap up the leg. Exhale, find the hamstring. Inhale, find the quad, the front of the leg. Exhale, inhale. You don't have to go full engagement, just enough to kind of feel it light up a bit. One more. Pull that heel in, extend it up, pull the kneecap up the leg. Good, and I'm pausing there. Little circles. Nice and slow. Keep them small. Change directions. And then pause. Keep that leg up. Just kind of holding it there, feeling, sort of visualizing that fluid draining out of the leg, keeping your legs nice and fresh. Lower that left leg, foot flat on the ground. One more time, open up those feet. Let the knees fall to the right. Pause. And then back through center. Let the knees fall to the left. Pause. Bring your knees back up to center. And then bring your feet together and come into a side lying position. If this is uncomfortable for you, we're headed into a seated position. If you're okay here on your side, just pause here for a minute. Tucking those knees in a little bit, creating a pillow with your right bicep or left, depending on what side you rolled to. Shut down your eyes and breathe. Using that top hand to push down onto the ground, help yourself come upright. Grab your towel or blanket that you've got to sit on. Put your sit bones right on top and then scooch to the edge, creating that nice neutral hip. And then whatever makes sense for the legs. Once you've arrived in that neutral hip position and you feel like you can ground down through your hips and your lower half, but yet feel nice and buoyant through your upper half, close down your eyes, let your hands rest gently on your knees. For a moment, I want you just to create an intention for your practice today. Take your time in doing so. One of the most fundamental sort of intentions that you can have in yoga is to just be present. But there's some other purpose, some other quality, or even if you want to send your energy out to someone who you feel might need it, those can also be intentions as well. Just keeping that nice full breath in and out to seal in that intention, keeping it close at your heart. Blinking your eyes open. Inhale, sweep your arms up, look up, watch them connect. Exhale down through heart center. Keep going, using this as the ability to connect breath and movement and create that presence within yourself and in this moment. 3 more. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Last one. One more time, sweep them up. Drop the right hand next to your right hip. Exhale, lean over with that left hand reaching actively over to the right. Right hand can be a little bit of a kickstand. Keep that left sit bone anchored. We're really looking at that rib cage, hip separation here. Pull the shoulders down the back. Keep your chest rotated more up than down. Take a gazing point either at the right fingertips or underneath the left armpit. Inhale yourself back upright. Bring your right hand behind your right hip. Inhale once again, create length. Exhale, twist to the right, bringing your left hand to the outside of that right knee. Staying nice and tall through the spine, so we're just spiraling around our spine. Keep your shoulders pulled down the back. And then make sure you're not cranking on that right knee with the left hand. You might test yourself, see if you can pick that hand up and maintain the twist. And then complete the twist slowly by looking over the right shoulder. Let's meet at the bottom of our exhale. So push all of your air out. You might get a little more out of your twist there. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And then exhale, bring the right arm underneath the left, finding eagle arms. Okay, so some of you might be able to get palms to palms. Maybe it's back of the hand to back of the hand. Maybe this is a better place with hands on opposite shoulder. Okay, so finding what works for you. Sit nice and tall, pushing down through those sit bones. Pull the belly in. Create lift through the elbows. If you have your forearms wrapped up, you should be looking right through those forearms. If you've got your hands on opposite shoulders, just find a spot out in front that you can gaze at. Create a little bit of pull towards the spine with the shoulder blades. Release the base of the skull. So release any tension there. Let's again meet at the bottom of your exhale. So push all your air out. Slowly unwind. Sweep your arms up. Look up. Watch them connect. Exhale through heart center. Inhale up. Left hand comes down by the left hip. Exhale, coming into our side bend. So we'll be here for a few breaths, so dial it in. Right sit bone stays anchored into the towel or blanket underneath you. You're actively reaching through those fingertips. Chest is more up than down. Shoulders down the back. Inhale yourself back up. Left hand goes behind the left hip. One more time, inhale, create length. And then exhale as we twist to the left. Right hand on the outside of the left knee. Sit tall. Pull the shoulders down the back. Give yourself that little test. See if you can pull your hand off of your knee and still maintain the twist. And then slowly complete that twist by looking over the left shoulder. Keep those shoulders pulled down the back, maintaining that nice tall spine, spiraling along the spine, so spiraling to the left. All right, all of your air out, all the way to the end. Inhale, unwind, sweep up. Exhale, left hand comes under right. So left arm underneath right, so finding the other version of eagle arms, knowing that there are a lot of different places to be here. It might feel different on this side. So sitting tall, making sure you've got that neutral pelvis still. We don't want to make we don't want to allow this variation of our arms to round the back. So sitting tall, belly in, and then create lift through the elbows. Pull the shoulder blades just gently towards each other. Find a gazing point. Release the base of the skull. So you might think about tucking the chin just a little bit so that you're not holding tension in the neck. Exhale all the air out, all the way to the bottom, toning that belly to get the last little bit out. Inhale, unwind, sweep the arms up. Exhale, cactus the arms. Pull the shoulder blades together. Inhale, look up, reach up. We're going to do that 4 more times. Exhale, cactus, squeeze shoulder blades. Inhale. Exhale. Twice more. Finding that engagement through the back, but pulling the belly in. Inhale. Exhale. Keep that belly pulled in. Inhale. One more. Exhale. Inhale, look up, reach up, watch your hands connect. Exhale, down through heart center, pausing here. Lift the elbows. Exhale, palms push into each other. Again, release that base of the skull. Inhale, release. Exhale, press the palms into each other. Keep those shoulders down the back. Inhale, release. 3 more times. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale 1 more time. Exhale. Inhale. Release the hands to the knees. Exhale, finding that cat in a seated position, rounding and tucking. Inhale, broaden that chest. Squeeze the shoulder blades a little bit. Push those sit bones back behind you. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Once more of each. Exhale. Inhale. All right. Transitioning to all fours. You can use that blanket underneath the knees if you need a little extra padding. I actually might take advantage of that today. And then I just want to show, if you happen to have 2 blocks and wrists kind of bother you, you can always use blocks, come onto your forearm, so it takes it out of the wrist, but you're still kind of in that tabletop position. If you end up doing this, make sure you're pushing down through your forearms, not just your elbows. You do have a little less stability because you're up on the blocks, but that's really good for core engagement. So just offering that up for those of you who might have sensitive wrists. Okay, otherwise, stacking the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. So I want you to kind of tap into your body here and really notice how doing cat-cow in all fours, how it's different, how it feels different than doing it in a seated position, which we just did. So in all fours, your hips have a little bit more freedom to move. So I want you to actually concentrate on those pelvic tilts that are happening in your cat-cow. So that really pushing back in your cow, tucking under, really getting those hips to move. Many of us have very, very tight hips. So this is a great exercise just for that. Articulating the spine through your cat and cows. And then pausing with a neutral spine, creating that structure, shoulder down the back, belly pulled in. Right hand, inhale, look up, reach up. Exhale, thread the needle and follow with your eye. We're going to keep this dynamic. Inhale, look up, reach up. Exhale, thread the needle. You can even kind of lower the chest as you thread the needle. Inhale, 1 more time, look up, reach up. And this time, exhale, thread the needle, go all the way, and then let the arm, shoulder, temple come down onto the mat. Stay here, or if you'd like to do something different with that left hand, you can stretch it overhead with your hand on the mat. You can come into the half bind here, reaching up around the back for that right thigh. So regardless of what you're doing with that left hand, I want you to think about your right hip pushing to the right a little bit. That's going to open up the back of that shoulder, that right shoulder. It's also going to pull that shoulder blade away from the spine. You'll get a little bit of extra stretch through the low back here. If your hand is moved away from the mat by your face, bring it back and then firmly push down through that left hand. Inhale, sweep the arm up, look up, exhale, plant the right hand down, switching sides. Inhale, left arm, look up, reach up, exhale, thread the needle, really reach, following with the eye. Inhale, up, look up, exhale, thread the needle. 1 more time. Inhale, exhale. This time, reach it through full range, lower the arm, shoulder, temple, and then decide what you want to do with that right arm. It can stretch overhead onto the mat, half bind, reaching back behind you for that left thigh, or it can stay put on the mat. Okay, wherever you are, Just try pushing that left hip a little bit to the left. Okay, that's gonna open up the back of that shoulder. It's gonna pull that shoulder blade away from the spine. And you're getting a little bit of twisting here, so you might feel it through the low back, maybe even into the hip. If your right hand has moved away from the mat right next to your face, bring it back to the mat. Press firmly through that right hand as you inhale, look up, reach up, exhale, bring the hand back down. All right, make sure you've got a good alignment and a good stacking of the joints. Shoulders down the back, belly pulled in. Right leg extended out, back behind you. And I want you to think belly pulled in. I want you to flex that right foot so the toes are kind of pulled towards the shin. Keep the hips square to the ground. Maintain that shoulder retraction. And then stay here or add that left arm, reach it forward. Keep the belly in and the shoulder down the back. That's going to help your balance. Your gaze is right down, just slightly in front of your fingertips. 3, 2, 1. Remember, if I hold those longer than you want, you listen to your body, you come down when you need to. All right, left leg extends out long. Feel the hamstring and the glute working. Pull the belly in, shoulders down the back. Flex the left foot so that the toes are being pulled a little bit more towards the shin, and you're really reaching like you're trying to reach to the wall behind you with that left heel. Stay here or add in that right arm, lifting that bicep up towards the right ear. Pull the shoulders down the back, belly pulled in, keeping that square orientation of the chest and hips to the ground. Release the base of the skull. Allow that gaze to be just out in front of you just a bit, but down more than forward. 3, 2, 1. Bring both hand and knee down. Finding that alignment one more time. Okay, now we're going to take that right hand, slide it forward, lower the chest and head down. Notice the hips stay over the knees. If you can, bring your forehead down to the mat, great. If not, you're just kind of hovering. A little bit of pressure in that right hand. Now press through that left hand to come back up, slide that right hand underneath the shoulder, switch sides. So left hand slides forward, chest and head lower, little pressure in that left hand, hips are over the knees. Try to stay square with both the hips and the chest. Feel the stretch down the armpit, the serratus anterior here, the lats. Coming back up, right hand slides forward, keep pressure in that right hand, lower down, find the stretch, and then come back up. Left hand slides forward, pressure into that left hand, lower down, find the stretch, come back up. One more time each side, lower down, sliding that hand forward, come back up. Last side, down, and back up. All right, coming into a seated position now. So using your towel or blanket underneath you. Both legs forward. A little bit of structure. Oops, I'm not properly aligned here. There we go. Get those sit bones to come to the edge so that you've got that neutral hip. Sit nice and tall. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, create that forward fold over the legs. You have really tight hamstrings, which many of us do. A little bend through those legs. Okay, keeping the knees together. Don't let them fall out, so don't let your toes rotate out. Okay, I want you to prioritize a long spine here. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, a little bit more hinging. What we're working on is our sit bones going from straight down to slightly rotated behind us. So think about your belly button pushing forward, okay? And you will know when you hit the right spot, your hamstrings are gonna lengthen and it'll hurt so good. Next exhale, if you wanna round, sometimes that feels really nice. Couple breaths here. Slowly coming up. Bring the right sole of the foot to the inner left thigh. So kind of like we were in supine tree earlier, kind of a flag formation. Okay, again, sit tall. Make sure you got your sit bones, aligned properly underneath you. Make sure there's a little bit of engagement through the left side. Inhale, nice and tall through the spine. Exhale, forward fold. So again, you're thinking about that sit bone pushing behind you, thinking about leading with the belly button. Keep that natural low back curve. Each inhale, you might come out of it a little bit to reset that neutral spine. And then exhale, push through the belly button forward. You can think about that right knee kind of pulling a little bit towards the ground, and you'll feel that kind of open up through the hip, back of the hip, side of the hip, maybe even into your low back. Again, if that knee needs something underneath it, blocks are great. A little bit of grounding there underneath. It can change the way that this feels to take that knee and ground it. Next exhale, you can round if that sounds good to you. And then slowly coming up, right. Bring that sole of the foot to the ground and then across the left leg. Bring that right hand behind you, behind that right hip. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale as we twist to the right, grabbing that knee, pulling it into the chest. So my chest is rotating right, pulling my knee kind of across my body into this twist, and you should feel it through that outer right hip, as well as just the twisting action in the spine. And then maybe you complete the twist by looking to the right, over that right shoulder. Maintaining that nice tall spine, stacking of the joints, good posture. And slowly unwind. Before we go to the other side, bring the soles of your feet together. If you've got blocks can come in super handy on these guys, right? Maybe even on the highest setting, right? So set yourself up so that your sit bones are rocking forward just a bit off of the towel. And then you can grab your ankles, and that gives you just a little bit of leverage to sit up tall. And then you can kind of think about pulling those knees open, creating that stretch through the inner thigh, the groin. If you're wanting to go for a little bit more, take it slow, but you can think about forward folding in this position. Most of us won't get very far, but again, you want to think about leading with the belly button. You're trying to get those sit bones to begin to sort of rotate so they're pointed a little bit more behind you, keeping that nice long spine. The elbows can kind of press on the inner thighs. Slowly coming up, releasing both legs long, bounce out those knees just a little bit. Okay. Left sole of the foot to the inner right thigh. Sit up nice and tall, create some structure through that right leg. Inhale, sit tall, long spine. Exhale, hinging forward, keeping that long spine, leading with the belly button so that those sit bones begin to rotate a little bit more behind you. Again, block under that left knee, might feel really supportive. Maybe you want a little bit more stretch there. You ditch the block and pull that knee down towards the ground. Either way is great. So So just working your forward fold here, long spine, another breath. And next exhale, if rounding sounds good, go for it. And then slowly coming upright, bringing that knee up and then that foot across the right leg, left hand right behind the left hip. Inhale, right arm up, create length. Exhale, twist to the left, grab that knee, pull it in. So again, as you twist left with your torso, that left leg is being pulled into your chest but across your body. So you want to feel some stretching through the outer hip. We're getting external rotators in our hip. We're stretching those right now. Which generally feel pretty good to stretch. Sitting nice and tall. And then keeping those shoulders down the back as we slowly change our gaze to behind us over that left shoulder. Slowly coming back through center, uncross, bring those legs out into a straddle. You can kind of decide where your straddle is. Doesn't have to be a big one. Inhale, long spine, exhale, now folding straight down the middle. And again, looking for those sit bones, and it'll feel a little tighter here. You won't get as far. You want those sit bones to rotate behind you, so leading with the belly button. So even if you're upright here, if you're leading from the belly button, you should get that stretch sensation, not only through the inner thigh, but also through the inner hamstrings. Couple breaths here. Slowly coming upright. Twist your torso so that you're more over your right leg. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, fold. If you want to create a little bit of more of a twist here, you can take your left hand, reach it to the outside of your right foot or right calf, and then just get a little bit of a twist. That right hand can kind of come out a little bit more to the side as you hinge. So this is actually really nice for the low back, across the low rib cage, back rib cage. Keeping both sit bones anchored. Slowly coming up, nice and slow there. Switch so that you're more rotated over your left leg. Inhale, create length. Exhale, fold. Again, the option to bring that right hand to the outside of the left foot or shin. Just getting a little bit of that twist in your forward fold. Take this gently, don't tug on that leg. Keeping that long spine. Both legs have a little bit of engagement. Slowly coming up. Bringing those feet back together. Now transitioning onto our back. Taking a moment, find whatever's comfortable in this position, resting your hands wherever it feels right. Close down the eyes for a minute and just reconnect. Reconnect to your breath, reconnect mind and body. Check in. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And then also, just bringing that intention back to the surface. Opening the eyes, bringing the heels in as close to the sit bones as you feel like you can manage. Feet are hip width apart, hands stretch out by the side. I want you to scoop the hips up. So scoop the hips up, belly pulls in, low back flattens to the ground. Those hips scoop up, then one vertebrae at a time for your bridge. At the top, feel those glutes. Feel the heels, pull those in towards the shoulders just a little bit. And now we're going to come out of it in reverse. Lower it down one vertebrae at a time, pulling the belly in so that you can get that low back to connect. And then placing the hips down to the tailbone, letting that natural low back curve. All right, pull the belly in, scoop the hips up, one vertebrae at a time, finding the top of your bridge. Feel the glutes, pull the heels in gently towards the shoulders. And then coming down in reverse, one vertebrae at a time, pull that belly in so that you can get that low back to flatten. Then roll the hips down one more time. Scoop the hips up, belly pulls in, one vertebrae at a time to the top. Hold here, create a nice long neck. Tug those heels slightly towards the to the shoulders. Slowly lowering down one vertebrae at a time. All right, setting up for a supine twist. So either bring your legs together, creating one unit, or cross right leg over the left. Shift your hips to the left, so that left hip is more towards the center. Open up your arms to a T and let your knees fall to the left. So either crossed legs, this is a little bit more sensation in your twist, or legs together. You've got blocks and pillows. Use those for underneath the left knee to anchor or ground. And then slowly taking your gaze to the right. Breathe. Continue with cultivating your presence, keeping that intention right at the surface. Slowly bring those knees up through center. If you crossed, uncross, switch the cross. Otherwise, you're just going to keep those legs together. If you're crossing, pick up the hips. Right hip comes more towards the center. And then let the knees fall to the right. Again, a block or a pillow underneath the knees might feel nice and grounding. Both shoulders stay anchored. Slowly transition that gaze over the left. In stillness, just check in with your presence, your breath. Bring your knees through center, uncross if they're crossed. Finding full happy baby now. Both feet, soles of the feet up to the ceiling. Grab the edge of your feet, ankles. Maybe you cross and grab opposite wrists. Either way, any of those versions, you're pulling those knees down on either side of the rib cage. If you feel like you can get pretty far here, if your knees are fairly bent, then, only then, think about bringing that tailbone to the ground. If you're way up here with a straight leg, don't worry about the tailbone. Just think about pulling the knees down. But if you're down, you've got pretty good range of motion there, then tailbone stretches down. That's going to really open up through the hips. Straightening a leg, rocking to side, if that sounds good for you. Stillness is also great. Pausing in stillness once again. And then bringing those feet down for just a moment. We're going to do legs up the wall, okay, in the middle of the room, unless you have a wall that you want to kind of transition to, which is fine if you do. If you want to do one-sided, I'll give you halfway. If you want to use a strap, set that up, okay? So both legs up if that's where you're going with it, or just one leg. I actually really love to put a block under my hips. So if you have a block, you can try that version. Sometimes it feels like with a little bit of lift under the hips, it feels a little easier to get those legs up and have them stay up. So here, you can shut down the eyes, but try not to sort of leave your body, right? Don't let just shutting down your eyes be this sort of invitation for that thinking brain to start talking to you. You tell it, not yet, okay? This is your time. This is the time you carved out to be on your mat and to be right here, right now, breathing and moving. Although right now, we're not moving, we are holding stillness. Shake out the bottom jaw. Check in with those shoulders. If you're doing one leg, we're about halfway. So you can switch legs. So if you happen to move to a wall to do this and you want to stay there, you're more than welcome to stay there. Otherwise, we're coming out of our legs up. If you had a block, you're removing that. And then either come into Shavasana straight away, or if you'd like to join me with Supta Baddha Konasana, bringing the soles of the feet together, letting the knees fall out wide. Again, blocks under either knee can feel grounding and feel like this is doable when you ground your knees. So feel free to take the time to set that up. Bring your hands just to the inner thigh right next to your hip and allow this shape to be our transition. And if you're already in Shavasana, that's fine. Just take a few moments to transition into Shavasana. Breathing. Taking that moment from head to toe. Checking in with our body. Releasing tension. Breathing. Being mindful of that thinking brain. And then if you're in Supta Baddha Konasana, extending one leg at a time out in front, taking up as much room on the mat, letting gravity pull you into the mat, adding any props that'll help you find comfort and letting go, getting any of the wiggles or shifting the body out so that you can fall into stillness. We have stillness in the body, stillness in the mind. Each breath, making that commitment to staying connected to your body. In and out, breathing here in Shavasana. slowly transitioning yourself out of Shavasana, deepening your breath, finding small movements, maybe turning your head side to side, full body stretch, and just taking. I'll let you choose if you want to sit on something and take the time to do that. It's your choice. But ultimately, finding that seated position, once you're there, close down the eyes again. Bring your attention introspective. Take a moment to just check in with your body, how you feel physically, maybe even comparatively to when we started. Things may have changed or not changed. And also checking in just mentally and emotionally. How are you feeling in that department? And then again, just sort of comparatively, how you felt in that department in the beginning versus the end of class, things that may have shifted, taking note of that, things that may have not shifted, just taking note of that too. Bring your hands to heart center and lift your chest to meet your thumbs, keeping your chin bowed just slightly. And then bringing that intention that you created earlier, bringing it close to your heart, remembering why you brought it onto the mat with you today. And knowing that one of the most beautiful gifts of yoga is that you can bring those intentions out into the world with you, and they can perhaps have quite a bit of impact when you do make that intention of taking it with you into your day that's still left ahead of you. Bring your thumbs to your third eye. The highest light in me sees, honors, and respects the highest light in each of you. Namaste.